by Accounting and Auditing Committee of Chamber of Tax Consultants. Chamber of Tax Consultants is a 99-year body and conducts various training programs with 14 committees and which are relevant to the professional CA, CS, LCWA and conducts all relevant programs and training which helps the member in their day-to-day practice. With this, I will ask Deepak to introduce today's topic and introduce today's speaker. And we would also like to thank today's faculty, even Anil Ajmera ji, for his time and giving us, guiding us on this very important topic. With this, I would request Deepak to introduce all the speakers. And thanks to Vineet and Prashant for conducting this program and giving this program a proper design and shape. With this, I will request Deepak to take the proceedings further.
Thank you, Tejas bhai. So, good evening, everyone. It is my privilege to warmly welcome all the esteemed participants joining us today for this insightful webinar organized by the Accounting and Auditing Committee of Chamber of Tax Consultants. We are truly honored to have such a distinguished audience with us. This event promises to deep dive into the art and science of internal audit report writing, a topic of immense relevance in today's evolving financial landscape. Without further ado, let us begin the proceedings. Coming to today's topic, internal audit reports are not just documents. They are the voice of risk assessments, control evaluation, and recommendations, all intricately interwoven to guide organization towards that better governance and operational efficiency. As we delve into this subject, you'll discover the importance of clarity, precision, and professionalism in conveying complex audit findings to the stakeholders. Today, we live in a world where emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence are transforming how audits are conducted. While this advancement enrich the audit process, but the art of craftfully, writing the audit reports remains an invaluable skill that require human insight and judgment. And so today's session. This session will include two presentations from our esteemed speaker, Mr. Anil Ajmera, followed by Mr. Vineet Jajodia, and the session will conclude with an interactive Q&A segment addressing real-life problem and situational issues, which will be moderated by our moderator, Mr. Prashant Daftary. We believe this structure will enable a comprehensive exploration of the topic and provide ample opportunities for engagement and exchange of ideas. With this, I'll introduce the speakers. Mr. Anil Ajmera, a seasoned professional who currently serves as Chief Internal Auditor at Hikal Limited. He brings with him wealth of experience spanning 30 years in internal audit, risk management, finance, and account and plant operation. Mr. Ajmera is a certified internal auditor, CIA, and holds certifications such as CPA and CFA. In addition to his financial qualification, he is also chemical engineer and has earned MBA with focus on finance. In addition to his various work, Mr. Ajmera is actively involved in numerous internal audit and risk management forums, where he frequently participates as a speaker, as panelist at various conferences, sharing his insight and expertise in the field. We welcome you, Ajmera sir.
Thank you.
With us, we have another speaker, another distinguished expert, Vineet Jajodia ji. He is partner with Mahajan and Ibara and has about 20 plus years of experience. His core expertise is in digitization and automation of business processes, risk management, controls and transformation, and delivering high impact internal audits. Prior to joining Mahajan Ibara, he has worked with two largest conglomerates, Reliance and Godrej. He currently leads a team of 60 plus professionals servicing 50 plus clients across industry verticals. Vineet is actively involved in audit of in audit and accounts committee of the chambers. In past, he has been active member of and convener of Vikroli CP study circle. He has also spoken on various topics at ICI and II events. And last but not the least, our proficient moderator for the day, Mr. Prashant Daftary. Prashant is partner with Anisha and Associates LLP with nearly 24 years of experience in audit and assurance practice. His areas of expertise include statutory audit, internal audit, management audit, internal financial control, risk assessment, process reviews, due diligence. He has made number of presentations on internal audit, Ind AS, accounting standards, IFC, and various other topics relating to accounting and auditing. He is also internal audit expert and has contributed significantly in shaping the firm's internal audit practice. Prashant has contributed as convener for Accounts and Auditing Committee of Chamber of Tax Consultant, was also part of Training Committee of IIA Mumbai chapter for 24-25. He has a bachelor degree in commerce from Mumbai University. With this, I welcome Vineet ji and Prashant ji. Sir, I won't take much of your time now. The dais is yours. You may please proceed.
Yes, Deepak, can I start?
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah, thank you, Deepak, and thank you, Tejas, for the warm invitations to this significant webinar and the wonderful introductions to our esteemed audiences. It is my pleasure to be here with all of you. I'll share my presentation, then we will discuss. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. And today I'm excited to delve into the essential standard that governs internal audit report writing. I'll start my presentation with simple but powerful phrase, great work shines brightest when shared effectively and promptly. This topic at hand is not just a technical skill. It is about cultivating the art of storytelling in our internal audit report. Every internal auditor should strive to master this craft. If the audit report is well written, it does more than conveying informations. It engages the reader as well as it facilitates decision maker to take the decision. The key standard relevant to report writing are SIA 110, SIA 370, SIA 390, and international standard which are related to report writings are 2200, 2300, 2400, and 2500. SIA 110 is applicable where an opinion is required to be given. That is an assurance assignments. As we know, usually in the assurance assignment, we usually give the two kind of assurance. One is reasonable assurance and second is limited assurance. When we are giving reasonable assurance and when we are giving limited assurance, we can see if we are auditing a total functions, total area, then we can give the reasonable assurance, right? If we are auditing a subsections, like if we are auditing a full and final settlement in the payroll audit, then we can give the limited assurance. But what is the demand of our auditing? What is our demand of our process owner or management? Anybody can say? It will be interactive or only one side it will be allowed?
No, it will not be interactive, sir. It will they will have to the questions will come through chat box.
Okay. Anyway, so there will be usually the management asks for a absolute assurance, but you know, okay, we can't give the absolute assurance. Why? Because we are auditing on a sample basis, and second, we are depending on the data from the third party or process owner. So based on that, we can give either reasonable assurance or limited assurance. Absolute assurance, we have a limitation to give the absolute assurance, right? The SIA 370 related to reporting results. Yeah. Whenever we are giving assurance, it should be having a sound basis, right? We should have some criteria. Based on that, we will evaluate the assessment and we will say it is, we can provide limited or reasonable assurance. Our audit report supposed to demonstrate all the objectives which we have planned to achieve that through this audit. Also, management should this audit report should help management to understand the issue and take the corrective action on a timely basis. Here, International Standard 2200 is related to engagement planning. 2300 covers performing engagement. 2400 related to communicating result, and 2500 covers monitoring progress. Engagement planning includes planning documents, and in performing engagement, we usually conduct the field work and prepare a draft audit report. In communicating results, we focus on a reporting or audit report writing, and then there is a follow-up. I would like to explain these all standards through my example, industry example. This internal audit process flow we are following in our company. If you will see, we start our annual audit plan in the starting of April. We receive our audit feedback, or we invite input from our process owners, and we ask you what is your further requirement in audit. Based on that, we prepare our scope for the audit or schedule for the audit for the entire financial year. That schedule and scope we discuss with our BU heads, and after their approval, we go to management committee for audit committee for the approval. According to the approval, we conduct audit in a phase manner, in a month-to-month basis. Then when we are starting audit, in the start of the audit, we go for the opening meeting with process owner. In that, we discuss our audit scope once again, because we have planned our audit scope in the starting of the financial year, and we are conducting audit in some month. So there could be some development. Accordingly, we taken into account all their development and incorporate their views also. Then, according to the scope, we depute our resources. So this cover all things we cover in the internal audit planning, engagement planning. Then come to the field work. We conduct internal audit. In the internal audit, our auditor continuously interact with the auditee and create a draft audit observations, right? And whenever they are completing one area, they discussing with the process owner, and same time they are issuing the draft report. I will explain what is the advantage to give this draft report at the early stage in my following slides. Then all the areas which we have audited related to particular audit, we consolidate, and this consolidate report we discuss with the department head or function head, and we take their management input with the draft report, which includes observation, recommendations, and indicative response. We go for the exit meeting. So these all things we cover under the performing engagement. Then come to the our standard 2400 communicating results. These, after the exit meeting, whatever the input we have received in the exit meeting from the direct process owner and function head, we incorporate in our audit report and finalize our audit report. And that report we discuss with the BU heads, business unit head, and after, because they have a better understanding on the business. And sometime whatever we never discussed a whole report with the business head, we take wherever we require a business unit head decision, because there are a limitation from the function head as well as there are limitation from the process owner. We discuss detailed report with the process owner as well as function head, and wherever the minor issues are there, we either we settle with at that stage only, and we take up higher operational issue as well as strategic issue with business unit head. And after business unit head, we discuss this report with our MD and the combined management committee, and only present those issues which are strategic in nature and having a higher impact on the organization objective. Then those reports are finalized and given to audit committee. So this is the our reporting mechanism process which we follow in our factory, in our company. Yeah, this is internal audit report. According to the Institute of Internal Auditor, Institute of Chartered Account of India, internal audit is an independent management function that critically appraise an entity functioning to suggest improvement, add value, strengthen governance, including strategic risk management and internal control. This definition has been given by ICAI. And based on that, our objectives, internal audit objectives are assurance on the organization system, strengthen internal control, ensure compliance with relevant laws and regulation, enhancing risk management, and sometimes detect and prevent fraud. So these are our major objectives. We should ensure whenever we are taking audit assignment and reporting, all these objective, for what purpose we have set that audit, that objective should be satisfied in our audit report. Okay. These are these type of audits we usually do: risk management, governance, operation, compliance, finance, environment audit, IT audit, or sometime according to the management requirement, we conduct the management audit also. These audits, there are there are different contents may be different, but there are some common things which should be maintained, or we should ensure we are adhere to standards for audit reporting in all the audit reports. That is our internal auditor responsibility. We ensure all the standard applicable for report writing should be adhered. Then come to this standard 2410, which is related to criteria for communications. As we know, criteria refers for established standard or benchmark that guide us in assessing our analysis result in relation to recognized norms. Right? Suppose I take one example. Suppose you are giving review of internal audit department to the third party, right? On what basis third party will review internal audit performance? Definitely, they will take the basis of internal audit standard and they will comment based on our functioning, how much we are complying and how on what are the areas for improvement. So it means we need to be choose a appropriate criteria or that reach to the suitable conclusion and providing management and board a meaningful insight so that they can take the decision actions on that, right? I'll give you another example also for appropriate criteria. We refer sometime internal policies and procedure. Whenever any auditor going for the audit, what he usually asks, first step, what he is supposed to ask. He usually asks what any please provide the policies and procedure. Then he confirm ki what are the related laws and regulations. And sometimes we take the basis of industrial best practices and some benchmark, right? I take one more example here. Suppose one internal auditor highlight the outstanding receivable of rupees 250 crore as of 31st March, and the management should look into it. Do you feel this observation statement give any insight to management, or management should any indicating कि management should supposed to take any actions? If this observation statement is written like this, कि outstanding receivable amounting to rupees 250 crore for over 3 months as of 31st March 2025. This amount has increased by 100 crore rupees 100 crore in same aging buckets compared to last financial year. Here he's taking some criteria. He's reviewing the trend in the last year to this year. Outstanding receivable has increased by 100 crore. That's why management should take it seriously and take the actions. So it is always better कि we choose the correct criteria, and so management, it help to management to take the corrective and preventive actions. This 2420 standard 2420 is related to quality of reporting, right? There is no definite rule or which says ki which method of reporting you supposed to use. It can be a PPT, it could be a Word file, memorandum, video, or any kind of mode you can use. But what is common in all these reporting system? First, your internal audit report should include objective, scope, and results. It should be very concise, clear, and accurate, right? And whatever the information you are presenting in the internal audit report should be complete and timely. Also, it should be substantiate with the relevant data, and you should ensure the source of the data should be authenticated, right? So these are the common things which we should take care whenever we are reporting internal audit report. Now, these are the best practices for report writing. First thing ki, you know ki our internal audit report being given to process owner, to audit committee of directors, and sometimes this report is given to many to external party also. It is always better we keep our report non-technical, use simple vocabulary, and it should be understandable to a layman. So this is the first requirement. Our internal audit report should be non-technical and understandable to a layman. The second thing is, which I have observed in a many internal audit reports, कि observations are not substantiated by 5 C's. You know, the condition, criteria, consequences, all these 5 C's supposed to be basis for our audit observations. And then we should not use heavy text in our audit report. We should try to merge with figure, substantiate with figure, visuals, and text styles. In every report writing, you should give the reference. Usually, if we are referring the any act, any laws, um, any of the internal policies, we supposed to give a reference section ki which documents we refer, what is the source, we need to be mentioned in that audit report. Also, in this audit report, we should avoid blame and only it should present the facts. If you will indicate some blame or find out some blame to someone else, it having, because sometimes the direct process owner is its use and he supposed to, our objective is ki he work on a desired direction instead of taking it otherwise and create a problem. So we should avoid blame and we should focus on the only on the facts. Yeah, this is related to whenever we are customizing our report, we supposed to see the background of our reader, primary reader, whether he knows about the audited activity. It is usually very good practice if we will identify the readers, to accordingly we can incorporate relevant vocabulary, as well as we can provide them sufficient evidence so that it is easy to understand by him or take the corrective actions. Related to plan to use the report, as I mentioned in my earlier process flow, we start our planning in the starting of the financial year. There itself, we identify what is our objective to this audit, and thereafter we revise our plan according to the development took place from planning to execution of audit. That also we incorporate. In case we are getting the management audit, we take input from the management. We discuss about what is their expectation from the audit in case we are going for the management audit. Okay. And we take confirmation in writing before starting the management audit, so that any management and auditor supposed to be in the same thinking and give the desired result. Otherwise, we start work with the half thinking or half knowledge. We end up with nonsense report which having no use, and management also annoyed with seeing that report. So it is always good practice कि we start our audit, if we are going for the management audit, we discuss with the management whatever their expectation, we write on the mail and take confirmation and then start the work. The another thing, sometimes we are presenting audit reports to directly process owner who are impacting because of this report. While presenting such report, we should be very tactful कि how we can get the better support from the reader, and we should not give any indication to him कि we are trying to point out him. Otherwise, it can give your report could be and it can create a chaos in the organization. So when you are providing any submitting such report to the process owner who are really involved in that activity, you should be very tactful. So these all things are very common, which need to be taken care, and accordingly we should customize our audit report. There are various stakeholders for our audit report, usually process owner, HODs, statutory auditor, and audit committee. These all process owner are not, these all stakeholders having a different expectations. What process owner want from the internal auditor? Whenever internal auditor, they want keep internal audit give the practical suggestion and recommendations. The internal audit should understand their practical difficulties and provide them the practical solution. Also, provide suggestion which that make their work easy. Or sometimes they use internal auditor to escalate their problem to the management, which they are limitations to directly inform to the management. So here the auditor's role is that they understand the process owner need and sometimes facilitate them to make their work easy and develop a trust on in him. The auditor is there for process improvement, and if I'll tell something, so they will help in improving our system. So this is the process owner expectation. The internal auditor, whenever, because all auditors who are working at the field should take care of the process owner requirement. They supposed to understand what is their level, and accordingly they frame their questions, they perform their analysis, and sometimes they facilitate to process owner in their working. So that is my suggestion to the new auditors who are working on the field and directly interacting with the process owners. Then what is the requirement of statutory auditor? Their requirement is very limited. They usually focus on the compliances and also materiality transaction which if having an effect on the financial. So their limitations, so they ensure that our internal audit report should meet that requirement. Come to the audit committee. What is audit committee? If you overwhelm audit committee with many issues, minor or major, would you feel you will get the proper attention on all the issues? Definitely, they will not give you weightage to your audit informations, and this report will be become a throwing paper, or they will never give any priority to audit observation, or your all good efforts will go on waste. That's why whenever you are presenting to the audit committee, you should prepare a executive summary which should having a priority of observations and also relevant fact which make or strategic issue which help audit committee to take the decision. So there is different expectation for all the process owner. While preparing the report, we supposed to be take care of all the expectation to who is the primary process owner for the any reader to use this report. In all audit reports, these things are key components. One, objective purpose of what is the purpose of audit. Then scope we define in the starting, or sometime we modify also. And if we keep the time period also, keep from this period to this period, we want to cover this scope. Then we supposed to give the background also, in which context we are writing this report. Then there should be recognitions. Recognition means we supposed to appreciate sometimes the work of the process owner. Okay, for the good work, he should be appreciated. And also, we should appreciate for his cooperations and coordination during the audit process. So we should appreciate, we recognize that also. Okay, then engagement rating. It is the a component which attract the attention of the top management. We follow some different rating process for engagement rating. We give the rating to the individual audit observations as well as overall audit program. And accordingly, we present in our executive report that these are the area which require improvement, or these are the area which are going well as per the expectations. Then conclusions. In the conclusion, we summarize the engagement rating and all our critical audit findings. So it get the proper attention from the management and respective process owner or whomsoever concerned. It includes the observations, and each observation we supposed to try it should be evaluated based on the root cause. In many of the audit reports, I find that observations are written based on the conditions. We supposed to be focused on the root cause, and accordingly we supposed to give the recommendation. Then there is a distribution list. Distribution list is usually fixed and it is defined for each organization. However, in some cases, some changes are required that can be taken care by chief internal auditor. So these are the any essential component for each audit report. Then come to as I mentioned this is 2440, which is related to disseminating result. As I mentioned, usually this list is fixed to whom the reports to be circulated. It is usually the process owner, senior management, board members, and statutory auditor. However, in some cases, internal auditor need to be shared this report with external party. So standard 2440 is related to disseminating result, and its A2 states in case we need to share this report with the external party or third party, we supposed to take consent from senior management or legal counsel before sharing that report. So we need to be very careful whenever, because it's our internal audit report have implication of reputation of industry company, and some confidential information may be there which can be misutilized by the third party. So that we need to be confirmed from legal counsel and senior management before sharing our internal audit report. Okay. Then this is related to standard 2500 and SIA 390, which is focus on monitoring result, monitoring any follow-up, and monitoring progress. I usually observe internal audit put more their time in new audits They give audit any most of the time they focus on the new audits and very less time or sometimes they never give focus on follow-up. But in my view, internal auditor performance should be evaluated based on how many recommendations have been implemented during the financial year and how many remain open. I follow the practice in every board management committee meeting or board report. I keep two sections in my audit report. One section is related to current audits and new audit findings, and the other section is related to previous audit finding status. And if that audit findings have not closed before the target date, we discuss with the respective process owner. We take their views and escalate or report to first management committee. They take care of that pendency, and after that we escalate to management board of director if required. So we ensure whatever audit recommendations have been given during the financial year should have been implemented within the target date. Okay. If you want to success in your life as an internal audit professional, you need to be face some challenges. Definitely you find some many challenges, right? But you can overcome these challenges by demonstrating process owner, department head, or audit committee that your observation, analysis, and insight reveal detail that any other person can't may overlook. You need to be establish your importance in the organizations so that these challenges you can overcome. Additionally, you need to be good storytelling writer in your audit report so that whatever efforts you are putting in the audit reports should be recognized by the concerned stakeholder, right? So it is very important. We should develop we should cultivate the art of master storytelling in report writing. With this, I I want to stop my presentation, and thank you for listening and your patience, and I am ready to answer if you have any questions.
Now, Anilji, as per the structure, I will obviously have some questions for you. Vineetji, also you can chip in from your practical experience. Sir, generally there is a debate that whether content is more important or packaging is more important in an internal audit report. So what have been your views and what is your own experience when you have shared various reports in your illustrious career with many stakeholders? What has been your feedback on this?
Yeah. Should I give the answer or Vineet, you are giving the answer?
Yes. Both of you all can share if there
Okay.
is no problem.
Uh, in my view, both things are very important. Either your content should be very strong and it should be packed or it should be presented in very structured way so that it can allow management to take the decision. If you are you have finding your analysis and you are putting a lot of efforts in your contents, if you are not able to present your audit findings properly or structurally, then your all the efforts will not be get proper recognition and it will go waste. So in my view, both the actions, both the contents and packaging, both are very important.
So I completely agree with Anil. See, it's like asking a mother to choose between the two sons. Both are equally important, whether it's content or it's packaging. Uh, See, content will help the organization with various savings. However, if it is not packaged well, then the reader of the report will not understand what is being told. So a blend of content and packaging helps in devising the right report.
But from my experience, what I have seen is that there is a limited time to deliver the reports, and the people spend so much time in execution that they are left with very little time in completing the drafting of the report, and that is where the challenges start. So, if you have any tips or any suggestions for the participants, how they can do the achieve the fine balance, because the timing of the report is also very important. You need to deliver in a certain period of time. So how do you meet both that expectations, and how do you meet so comprehensive in reporting the content and obviously the packaging? How do you balance that two requirements? We understand both are very important, but in a practical real life scenario, how do you really do it?
Exactly, Prashantji, and a very relevant question. And if you see, most of the time goes on execution. So if we are spending 20 days on an assignment, for report writing, the team would be spending 4 to 5 hours. And that too also what they will first do is, past mein kaun sa report tha, take that report, copy paste, change the numbers. And that is the problem. So ideally, your output is going to be monitored by the report which you are going to publish, because no one in the organization or our clients or the management MD, they are not going to see how many hours you would have spent in identifying the findings. It is the final outcome which becomes very important. So for that, few things which is critical and which we follow. One is, during the audit, when you are executing the audits, start generating flash reports in the PPT format rather than putting in an Excel and then copying it in a PPT format. One. Second is, there are tools which are available where you have the repository of all the findings, and based on the word search analysis, it automatically compiles and prepares the finding, where you need to change the amount, where you need to change the context. So your 70 to 80% of the work gets done. Third, it is important that with the process owners, you have regular interactions. There are weekly meetings which are being held, so that it is well communicated what are your findings, rather than waiting till the end to generate an internal audit report.
Yeah. I would like to add one more point in Vineet recommendations. The one thing is that we need to be fix up a target date. What we are doing in audit charter, we are fixing that our audit report will be released within 7 days from the exit meeting. It should not they need to be follow this instruction, and for that they start their work from the beginning itself. They start writing the report as Vinny suggested, like in the audit, whenever we are doing the field work, they start to flash their report in it. I always usually some auditor do, they note in the Word or some Excel format. I said ki what will be the final report format you follow the for individual audit observation also, so that your thought will be clear ki what you want to present. And the other advantage for flashing the report time to time is ki it get refined over period of time, because you are the same report you are discussing with the process owner, same observation, and then refined version you are discussing with the process HOD, then further refined process observation you are discussing with the BU head, and finally with the management committee. So it will give you two advantages. One, at the time of making the report, your material will be ready for a final presentation. And the second thing, it will give you more accuracy and completeness in your audit observation, which in the starting, by any reason, the auditor may overlook.
Sir, you did touch upon this fact that there is no format for the audit report, and you can use Word, you can use Excel, you can use PPT, or any other type of formats can be used. but which according to you is the most suitable format and commonly used, so the audience can take benefit of your experience?
Yeah. See, few of our clients, they use Word document where we need to prepare the report in a Word format. Few of our clients, it's a PPT format which is being used. Given a choice, our preference is always to use a PPT format. Few reasons, because I can see the difference when the two reports are being presented. One is when you have a Word format, the auditor, see, he has spent 20 days on finding an observation. So he loves writing lengthy sentences. He keeps on filling the pages. So normally what I've seen, if it's a Word report, it will run into pages after pages after pages. But in PPT, because of the structure, you restrict it to a slide or maximum 2 slides, which helps the report to be more concise. One. Second is PPT has more better visual appeal, where you are able to comprehend the findings in a better way. So always preference would be for a PPT format.
In my case, I'm not following the standard mode, like a Word, it should be Word or it should be Excel or it should be. In case I am doing a detailed review of particular area, or we can say ki some specific issue or management audit, if we are doing, which is based on a specific requirement, then lot of analysis are involved, lot of interaction and different kind of methodology is required. So that is a comprehensive report on a single issue. That time we refer the Word file. So that Word format can summarize all all our methodology as well as whatever we have findings and output. But in case of detailed audit, if we are doing the area audit and there are different observations, so we usually prefer the PPT format, because but in the PPT format also I try ki in the one slide itself, complete observation should reflect ki how I make the concise report. If it will go in the second or third slide, it will lose your any attention of your reader. So it should be, it should ensure ki your complete observation with the management audit recommendation and management response supposed to come on the single slide. In addition to that, whenever I have to annex data, I use Excel format. So it is a combined of all three mode, which I usually prefer in our audit reporting.
Sir, one more question before we start Vineet's presentation is that how should you start writing the report? Which should be the first observation? That is generally the point where, a lot of people get stuck. From where do I start? From your experience, what would you like to share to our audience?
So, see, the answer will vary from the organization to organization. See, whenever you are writing a report, it will depend on who is the reader of the report. For example, few of our clients, they love cost savings. 2 crore ka saving hai, that they will be like excited. But there are certain clients, they don't believe in cost savings. They feel that there are teams who are taking various measures. You identify what are the compliance issues, what are the design gaps, what are the system issues. So based on the reader, see, it is very important that the attention span of the person going through the report is maintained. For that, you need to choose the right first observation, second observations. Otherwise, what will happen is the moment he reads first observation, आगे कुछ लग नहीं रहा है, let's stop reading. Or he will say that let me read after 2 days or 3 days, and that never comes. So if you know that the organization would have eye for compliance issues, highlight that first. If there is a saving, substantial savings, highlight that first, and order your report accordingly so that it draws right attention of the user.
Yeah, well said, Vineet. But I would like to add one more thing. The first thing, any audit we start, we take some objective, and we need to see which objective is more affecting our organization. Definitely, all objective supposed to be fulfilled, but the major impact we should assess first. And over the period, then like you are doing the field work on 15-20 days and you are coming across with many of the issues, and that time you skip for what was the main objective of this audit. So my submission is that first thing we need to be recall our objective during entire audit cycle. What is the main objective of this audit? And whenever we are writing final report, we supposed to be relook into the objective for that, for purpose that audit report was designed and it was planned. The second thing is in case there are two types. One is you assign the rating of each audit observations and you make on a priority basis कि most critical observation should be presented first and then second and then third. And there is another way कि in area, suppose you are doing the 3-4 areas in one audit and there is a audit observations minor and major in all areas. So you can make your report area wise also. In that you will give the priority to the critical audit observation first and then minor, then medium and low, and according to whom you are presenting. If you are presenting to the top management only, management committee, so only the critical observation will go, and the area which is impacting most to your audit organization objective should come first.
So there are 3-4 questions which are there in the chat box, and I'll just read. One question was, can secretarial auditor ask for IA report? So would anyone want to answer that?
Secretary of
Secretarial auditor, can secretarial auditor ask for internal audit report? So the auditor who is doing the audit of secretarial compliances, can he ask for the report?
Yes, we are taking the legal and secretarial. I think if I correctly understand the question, in our company also, we take the legal and secretarial audit where we ensure that all the compliance which are applicable for secretarial functions are being complied. And that report, first we discuss with the compliance or we can say is company secretary. And after that, the same report we discuss with the management committee also.
So
I think the question was slightly different. Yeah. This,
Right.
from a statutory secretarial auditor point of view.
Correct. So see, ideally, one is the secretarial auditor. If there have been any internal audits on the secretarial compliances, which is part of his scope of work or which impacts his scope of work, definitely he can ask for those reports and should be shared with him, which will assist him in his outcome. However, other reports like plant operations or something on finance, which is not at all correlated with the secretarial audit, then it should not be ideally shared with him, because it's irrelevant for him.
Yeah, that is the correct. Yeah, understood.
One
more question is that whether peer review is mandatory for doing internal audit or not. Vineet, do you want to answer that, or should I?
As per my understanding, it is not definitely not mandatory. As of
because see, what happens is internal audit, it's not necessary that it has to be done by a CA firm only. It can be done from who are non-chartered accountants also. So that is one part of it. And in case you are a CA firm and it is falling part of an attestation function where you are giving an assurance report, being a chartered accountant firm registered under institute, then it may become applicable. But for firms which are not registered under ICAI framework, they can also do internal audit. So that is how it is right now. And one more question was that is the format of internal audit standard or not, and whether though MSME it is not applicable, whether we can apply the concepts of IA to MSME, and what are the tools which are available for small CA firms. So these are 2 or 3 other questions which were there.
So in terms of format, definitely there is no standard format as such, which has been prescribed. You can, yes, there have been various contents which have been described, which you need to include in our report. You can use the format as per your wish. However, the content should be maintained. What Anil ji already covered in his presentation. For MSME, internal audit report is not applicable, but can be applicable. This question I'm not clear about.
Yeah, but I think it's more of a general statement. We can apply concept of internal audit to MSME also, but your approach has to be slightly different. What is for a large organization may not work for an MSME, and what is working for an MSME will not work for a large MSME. So that the approach has to be little different, but concepts are same.
Exactly.
Very good.
And tools and software, there are many tools which are available for report writing, for data analytics. Like there is a tool for e-trends, then we also have our customized data analytics tool, which we use extensively. I think each firm has their customized tools, and there are very on-the-shelf tools also which are available of this.
And I've also seen some practices which are now Chat GPT is also being used for drafting reports, where basic if you give a basic content, you might get a good output in terms of the drafting of the report. There, obviously, you need to be careful about confidentiality and other aspects, but some of these AI platforms also are being used to draft the reports.
Exactly, Prashantji. And Chat GPT is now being widely used. However, it is very important that we are careful, as Prashantji rightly mentioned. One is, at times we have seen people uploading various documents on Chat GPT. Please do not do that. It is very, please maintain the confidentiality. Second is the outcome which is received from Chat GPT. Please go through that thoroughly before copy pasting in the report and circulating it. There have been many errors which have been identified when people use Chat GPT in a copy paste format and just circulate. It should be an enabler rather than it is just being used blindly.
Yeah.
Very
So,
good.
Vineet, I think you can start with your session, and then there may be some more questions. We'll take it once you finish your slides, and because some of them may get covered in your slides also.
Yeah, we'll do that. Just yeah, is my slide visible?
Yes.
I am not able to see. Just a second.
Can you run this slide on a slideshow?
Yeah, just a second. Yeah. Now, yes.
Yes.
It's visible, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So we'll start with the one of the important quote by Nelson Mandela, which says that if you are talking to a man and in the language which he understands, it goes to the head. And if you talk to him in his language, it goes to the heart. So the audit report is also in a similar manner. So the reader of the report, it depends on you whether you want to take the reader of the report, whether the report doesn't go to his head and heart at all, or whether it goes to his head, or whether it goes to his heart. If you want to create the magic, then it needs to touch his heart. By reading the report, he should feel that, wow. So that kind of feeling comes when it comes from the heart. So you need to touch his emotions. You need to understand what he wants. So that is the crux of writing a report, where you need to keep the user in mind, the reader in mind, and accordingly tweak and keep on giving surprises in your report so that he feels and he is compelled to read your report. So we'll during this presentation, we'll try to see how we can create that magic during the report writing. So these are the key contents. I will move directly to the format. Yeah. See, Anil mentioned about these topics, like what all should be content, what all should be there in the audit report, the scope, positive aspects, overview, executive summary, observations, prior period issues, action taken reports. In this session, what we are going to do is we are going to deep dive on each of these topics to see how we can create that magic with the reader. Starting with the first topic, see, in each of the report, there is an objective section, there is a scope section, and there is an approach section. I can tell you based on my past experiences, maximum cases, it is a copy and paste. Audit approach, standard slides saying that there was an interview conducted, meeting hui, we have gone through some Excel files, we have done a walkthrough of the statements, standard slides. And I can tell you that within firms, amongst the firms also, the slide would be same. The same drafting of the sentences. And it is least paid attention, means people just copy paste the approach, what has been the methodology across. So few things, if you make minute changes, I can tell you it can create wonders. For example, I recollect 4 years back, we had circulated one audit report to the MD. In that, we just mentioned one sentence in the approach. Means there were good findings, there were savings and all. We just mentioned one statement in the audit approach saying that this time we have adopted a thematic approach by comparing processes across plants. You won't believe that once the report was circulated, making it in bold, there was an immediate response saying that I really appreciate the different approach which was followed this time. So just changing the approach and also demonstrating the approach. So at times we change, we adopt different methodologies to reach that particular observation. However, it is very important to demonstrate that in the report. If you are going to have the approach slide ditto same, trust me, anyone who is going to read the report, he will assume that it is going to be same. He will never pay attention to that. So it is important to keep on tweaking your approach to create that kind of suspense, and they also feel that something new is being done. For example, suppose if you're doing a warehouse audit and you have actually visited 3 to 4 warehouses, you can always mention the visits which were performed, what was for how many days, how the warehouses were selected. The reader will feel interested in reading the report further. Like in one of our clients, when we were doing the plant audit, it was a contract labor compliance reviews. Normally, you will verify all the compliances, everything. What we thought was, let us interview the contract labor. So what we did, 6 labor ko pakda. We asked them, do you know about PPEs being worn? What are the impact of safety not being followed? Are you aware about safety drills being conducted anytime it was done? Are you getting PF on time? So 6 to 7 questions. Trust me, when we mentioned that in the approach document, it changed the entire perspective of how the report was presented. We got such good appreciations from the client because it was a different approach which we followed. So keep on innovating the approach. Don't have a copy paste slides. At times we follow that, but we never write that in the report. Please do that. Next time when you do that, you will see the change, which the auditee will also recognize. So the approach, very important. Similarly, the scope. See, the common philosophy being followed is there is an engagement letter identified, signed, copy karo scope, put that in the report. But that is not the right way. See, engagement letter was finalized at the beginning of the year, or that scope was finalized at the beginning of the year. And there would be many changes during the audit. There would be many changes which you would have done something new as well. So I have seen my clients where we have added a statement that this was the scope which was agreed. These are the additional things which we did spontaneously. And these are the further additions to the scope items. These are the limitations because of the data not being available. Be very particular in writing that as well, because at times, whenever this gets reviewed further, they will question you on your scope. So from a regulatory perspective, from your responsibility perspective, the scoping has to be clear, one. Second is it needs to be demonstrated what new you have done in terms of scoping. I'm sure all the internal auditors, whenever they do the audit, there will be various items you will add to your scope. Please demonstrate that. Internal audit, as we mentioned earlier and we discussed earlier, काम बहुत होता है, but when it comes to report writing, 2 घंटे में काम खत्म कर दिया. That is the report which is going to be read by the HODs, by the management. Demonstrate that हमने ये 4 काम these are the additional scopes which we did. What was the outcome? They will really appreciate. So again, a very important things which needs to be looked into. See, everyone like appreciations. So it is important that we also start the audits with a positive aspects, because there would be many things which are going right. So put that in the report. The process owners, they will be very receptive to those appreciations, to those positive aspects. You will receive a different kind of respect from them. However, be very particular in writing these positive aspects. You should not write a common statement like there is a control over verification of open POs on a monthly basis. This is given. But if something like they have, like a procurement guy, they have onboarded 4 new vendors, which led to reduction in the material cost by 5%. And these vendors were spread geographically. So this kind of statement will create a more impact, and otherwise what will people will feel that ye to routine positive aspects we are doing this just to make the person happy. So spend time also on drafting these positive aspects, because it should be something unique which they would have implemented. That you please ensure. Second is also be very clear that you are confident that particular control has been verified by you. It should not happen. You have given a positive aspects and later on you have an observation or you have not covered that as an area. Because again, we will be held responsible if you have given something as a positive aspect and that control was not working fine. So be very, very careful in drafting these sentences on positive aspects. For example, if you have received a really very good cooperation from the auditee, the details has been shared on a timely manner. They have really supported you during the audit. Please appreciate that. Put that in the positive aspects. You will see that next time when you're doing the audit, you will receive that similar kind of support. So don't be confused while writing this statement, but be very factual. Yeah. The third is the overall analysis and the overviews. The overviews are very, very critical, and these are the insights of a particular area. For example, if you are doing a procurement audit, now think from a reader's perspective. He has understood your scope. He has understood what are the limitations, what you have covered. And if you suddenly jump to observations, usko लगेगा ये क्या हुआ? Means procurement and observation. So there has to be something called an overview which says that what was the numbers. Like for example, if you are doing a procurement review, procurement value was around 300 crores. Out of that, suppose if you picked only trading procurement, what percentage was the trading procurement out of that? Then key vendors, like top 10 key vendors, what has been your procurement with comparison to last year? Has it increased? So those kind of insights develop curiosity among the reader of the report, and it gives the context. Yes, this is the overall value which we are talking about. And then they move to the finding with that data point in mind. Because no one like an MD will not know at these granular levels, like what is the trading procurement, who are the top 10 vendors, has it increased, decreased with respect to past years. So these kind of numbers putting in the report really set the context for the report. Along with that, an overall analysis, for example, how many total observations are there in the report? For example, if you have 30 observations, total 30, then categorize into high, medium, low. Overall grading of the report, whether it is something which needs immediate attention. So that kind of attention, that kind of summary slide really help in to the reader whether he needs to deep dive further or this overall function appears to be fine and doesn't need much of attention. moving on to the next key slide is on the executive summary. It is said that if you're circulating a report to a promoter or an MD, considering his time span, this is the last slide which he will look at. The detailed observation slides, you may, or based on his availability, he may see or may not see that. So this is one of the most critical slides. As it is said that you require a child to write a full report, and you require a man or a woman or a pro to condense it into 1 or 2 sentences. Normally in executive summary, what we have seen is, suppose in an observation, your title is strengthen controls over over open POs. So copy, paste in the executive summary, strengthen controls over open POs. That is not the right way. Please don't do that, because that doesn't give the context. You need to summarize the entire observation into 2 to 3 sentences, saying that the process needs to be built over monitoring of open POs. Based on our review, open POs more than 1 year was so much of the amount, aging this. Or in case there is any recoveries to be done, what is the financial implication and what was the key root cause? So reader of the report, while looking at executive summary, he should be able to understand what is the observation in 2 to 3 slides, not 2 to 3 sentences, not more than that. That is very, very important. And again, executive summary, the ordering of the observations in the executive summary again will depend on who is the reader and what is his expectations of the report. For example, if in the detailed report, you have various observations on compliances in terms of minimum wages non-compliance, in terms of working hours, in terms of contract labor licenses. So there are 6 slides in the detailed report. So in an executive summary, in a nutshell, you need to write that a statutory compliance framework needs to be designed. Based on our review, we identified gaps in compliances with minimum wages, in compliances with working hours, and so forth. So 4 to 5 bullets explaining the finding with a root cause, with a design gap, rather than 6 to 7 slides just copy pasted in a summarized manner. So club the findings and try to come out with what is the theme which is emerging out. For example, suppose there are 5 to 6 findings where the theme emerging is the training issues. There are policies in place, but it seems to be people issue where they require proper training. So say that training needs to be met of the individuals. There were multiple observations which were identified, plus. So that will give the context of the observation to the reader. So spend time on the executive summary. This is what is going to be read by the top management and even the audit committee. These are the slides which will go to the audit committees. Multiple system issues. Summarize them, saying that on our walkthrough of SAP, these are the 5 gaps which we identified. It will give a different objective when you are following a theme approach while preparing the executive summary. Moving on to observations, root cause, and recommendations. Again, the core slides. It is very important to have the facts in place. Then it is to be in the order of significance, like based on the risk, it needs to be categorized and put in order. Observation should be drafted in a positive manner rather than being very negative. For example, if you need to be saying that design a process to review the compliances, review the statutory compliances on a monthly basis, rather than blanket statement saying that the compliance is not in place and without giving any recommendation. Bifurcate the observations into new and repeat observations. It is so that the repeat observations draws attention. Always have discussions with the management on the findings and follow a root cause and potential effect process. This is demonstrated in the next slide, but it is very important to identify the root cause for any findings so that you are able to suggest the right recommendation. For example, if you see, the observation is on unapproved material purchase. Now, on unapproved material purchase, there could be two real effects. One is that means the material has been purchased without the approval which has been defined. It could be case of a splitting of a PO, where the authority was designed, but they have bypassed that authority and actually split the PO. These are the real effect. And the potential effect would be the unwanted procurement. Because the unapproved purchases were made, you had pile up of inventories which will block your working capital and so many things, right? So now if you need to do a root cause analysis, splitting of PO, and what is the root cause? Are there any automated controls which is in place to avoid splitting of PO? So that root causing needs to be done so that you have the right recommendation. So if you see, there are three recommendations. One is there has to be compliance with SOP, so that there is an adherence to SOP, and there are, in case there are any deviations, those are identified. And then there is a system-based control which is implemented in case there are any splitting of POs. So the root causing of the finding is very important while drafting an observation. For example, if in an SAP environment, if a purchase order is, suppose there was a finding, purchase order is created of 200 rupees and the payment against that was made of 300 rupees. So this was the finding. So how should we draft this this as an observation? See, the wrong way is that there was a purchase order which was created for 200 rupees. However, during our audit, we reviewed that the final payment which got released was of 300 rupees. Hence, the company lost 300 rupees, right? So that is not the right approach. What needs to be first done is give a background. As Anil rightly mentioned in his presentation, give a background. So it should be in SAP or in an ERP, there is a three-way control. PO, GRN, and invoice should be PO, GRN, and invoice should be integrated, and there should not be any gap, or you can say that PO, GRN tolerance 5%, invoice tolerance 6%. So that is a background which a reader understands. Then in an observation, you can say that we had a walkthrough of the, we had a system walkthrough. Based on that, we identified that purchase order was created of 100 rupees. However, system allowed GRN to be created of 120 or 150 rupees. And then you can mention whether the similar deviation is allowed at an invoice. And then finally, the above gaps led to excess payment of rupees 200 rupees or 100 rupees. So you need to do a why analysis to identify why this happened, and then mention that in the observation itself so that you identify the right recommendation. For example, in the case which I mentioned, now the recommendation would be to plug the system gap, that all these are controlled and it should not allow more than the tolerance limit. Recover the amount from the respective vendor. Third is do an analysis for all the past cases and identify cases where whether there are any further cases of recoveries to be identified. So all these kind of recommendations should come in the observation itself. So this, as I mentioned, start grouping the observations in amongst the various topics. Categorize it based on risk, cause. Use simple language. Don't go overboard. Don't believe that your technical jargons is going to impress the reader. He needs simple sentences which he will be able to understand. For example, in one of the report which I was going through, instead of word strengthen controls, one of the article he had used build up. So that is one of the synonym of strengthen controls. Even I had to immediately look in the dictionary what is the meaning. So don't do that. Don't use abbreviations. Don't try to be smart by trying to use such kind of jargons which people have to look up and find out the real meaning of those sentences, and it breaks the tempo of the reader. Try and use active voice instead of passive voice. Tone of the report be constructive. Don't use various conflicting topics during the observations. Try and use as many charts, as many graphs, as many tables you could use. Trust me, when you start preparing tables, charts, graph, the entire essence of the observation changes and it gets depicted in a very, very concise manner. The reader of the report, he is able to also understand the meaning in fraction of a second. Common pitfalls, I think Anil has already covered just few ones. Factual errors or omissions, please avoid. Let the final report have a maker and a checker. Ensure your exhibits, annexures, they get tallied with what numbers you are mentioning in the report. The last thing which you will want are the errors in the numbers which have been mentioned in the report. Scope we covered. It is very important to elaborate the scope correctly. This is the third point on the conclusions based on the deviations. So it is very important to give a perspective to any observation. For example, in case there are any double payments which are identified, it is definitely very, very critical in case there are double payments. But you will appreciate that if there are 100 crores of payments made by an organization, and if there is an observation of 1 lakh double payments made, and that too also if you have used data analytics and scan through the entire 100 crore payments and saying that there is a double payment of 1 lakh rupees. So please mention this part in the report. Normally what auditor does so that he gains recognition, he says that there was a double payment of 1 lakh rupees and he mentions the root cause, saying that the system is checked, that is not happening and blah, 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 blah. So just imagine if in this same observation, I say that we have reviewed through data analytics 100 crores payment, and out of that, there was a double payment of rupees 1 lakh. It is important, but it may not be that critical the way it was projected earlier. Similarly, if I mention, suppose if you have not used data analytics and in case there is any manual documents which you are verifying, for example, you are checking whether there are any comparative statements prepared and whether they have taken alternate quotes. So 3 cases, alternate quotes are not being taken. A concerned reader will feel that teen hi to hai, kya problem? But if you give a context, 20 cases I verified out of 1 lakh plus cases. Out of that, in 3 cases, the documents were not available. It will give a different context. So always give a context to your observation. Don't leave just based on the finding. Don't blow up the matter if it is actually not critical. You will have repercussions of those aspects. Draft observations, please share with the process owners. Keep on interacting with them. Don't let the audit report be a surprise for them. Keep on discussing the findings. Have a regular weekly meetings with the process owners to ensure they also add on to your observations, because at times when you are doing the audit, at the end of the during the closing meeting or when you are sharing the draft report, you come up with various surprises or different perspectives. And then you will have very little less time left to analyze those cases. So it is important to have regular discussions with the process owners. Try and put implications wherever possible. That will always give the context. Any observations without value, think through, क्या मैं इसमें value डाल सकता हूँ? It will, because a values also help in deciding the criticality. You need to understand an observation with 80,000 rupees impact or a 5 lakh impact for an organization having turnover of 10,000 crore, what implications it may have. So accordingly, explain and put the implications in the report itself. Yeah, the last one again is important. Time is the key. Issue the report in a timely manner. Don't delay the report. I have seen multiple cases where if the reports are issued after 5 months, it becomes irrelevant. आपने data लिया था for customer aging 5 months back, and now the entire scenario has changed. The person would have changed. The process would have changed. The data has changed. So don't do that. Believe me, if you are sending the report after 6 months, it will not be appreciated and it will not receive due weightage. In fact, now is the time when you need to circulate flash reports rather than waiting for the draft report. So assume that if you are sending a report after 6 months, who is going to read that report? So have regular interaction and try and complete and ensure that it gets released on a timely manner. These are few of the tips. Simplicity and clarity in communication, as already said. Try to be as simple as possible. See, during my CA exams, I recollect one of my professor, he gave me a tip saying that अगर आपको आंसर्स नहीं आ रहा है तो पेज भर दो, 5 मार्क्स के अगेंस्ट में एटलीस्ट 2 या 3 तो मिल जाएगा. But that is not the approach in an audit report. Trust me. If you just keep on writing pages after pages, no one is going to read. If you are just using sentences which doesn't make sense, no one is going to read that. Be very simple, be very clear. अगर एक पेज का PPT है, it is not necessary that आपको पूरा पेज भरना है. Even 6 lines, but impactful lines, half page empty, not a problem. You have communicated what is more important. Don't believe in filling the pages. No issues in drafting 6 sentences observation. Always go from macro to micro. For example, if you are you have identified that there are cases of reverse auction not being followed in a procurement process. So start with saying that the total procurement of the organization was 100 crores. 60% of the procurement was carried out through reverse auction process. In remaining 40% of the procurement, the reverse auction process was not followed or there was a manual bid which was obtained. Then you can further deep dive into saying that because your observation now is on the manual bid, you are trying to say that the process was not followed. There could be certain deviations because of that. So then deep dive on our further analysis of these 40% of the cases. You are going macro to micro, right? On our further analysis of these manual bids process, it was observed that out of itna cases verified by us, RFQ was not properly maintained. The quotations were not maintained. Comparative statement was not maintained. PO or L2 was awarded the job without documented justification because in a reverse auction tool, you can mention all these documents. So you are going from macro to micro, which will help the organization appreciate your finding and they will understand the finding. And just imagine now if I am starting with saying that I have reviewed procurement of 100 crores, and I found that these documents are not maintained. Just see the difference between the two statements. The first statement is more assertive. It gives an organization a view what you are talking about. So always follow this approach. The way you do YY analysis, keep on thinking, iska macro kya hai, iska macro kya hai, and you will reach to the real macro situation. Start from there and then go to micro. You will see the change in drafting your observation, and people will appreciate that. And it will also give clarity to the observation. You are not missing out on anything. It will give clarity to the coverage. This topic we covered. Initial slides are the key. अगर आपने initial slides में ही goof up किया है, trust me, the reader will create an impression what report this would be. चाहे उसके बाद आपके there are brilliant findings. He will not have that kind of patience. So try and focus on the initial slides. That will help. Yeah. Try and create a mind map while drafting an observation so that you don't leave out on anything. For example, a non-moving inventory needs to be strengthened. What is important? What is the as-is process? Existing process kya hai? Is there a quarterly SOP? Is there an SOP? What is the frequency of that SOP? So if you are having this in mind, you will say that a SOP hai? Yes. If not, that will become an observation. What is the frequency defined? No. Then what is the clarity required? You need to mention an audit period. आपने किस period का assignment किया? Then as we discussed, mention what you have covered. What is the population? What was the methodology used? What was the percentage? What is the impact? Materiality level. Give the value. Aging analysis by doing a root cause. So when you start asking these questions, you will see that all your things are answered and you have the ready-made data points to draft an observation. So start creating a mind mapping for any observations or any finding which you get. Yeah. See, visual appeal again is very important for the reader. अगर आपकी if your report is monotonous, after a point of time he will lose interest. So try and use various smart arts, pictures. For example, in case you are saying that hazardous material which is being transported by a transporter, you need to have an agreement and it will lead to non-compliances with the provisions of the MPCB or whichever Pollution Control Board Act. So if you are drafting this finding, just imagine along with that, if you have an annexer, by extracting the data from a public domain, are there any companies where this kind of notice has come? And you copy paste a click and paste that as an annexure, stating that these was identified in one of the companies. It will create a different impact altogether. Rather than just mentioning, people will feel that you are more practical and you are actually correlating the risk by seeing whether these has happened in the past. For a warehouse visit, if you are going, having the pics of the visits like someone not wearing safety harness or the PPEs or the emergency door. So having the pictures create an impact, do that. Flow charting, like normally when we do an audit, we try and document the key process. For example, for an order to cash, right, starting from booking of an order, onboarding of a customer, to bill passing, to credit limits. If you prepare a flow chart and you link your findings with that, credit management to our findings, and also if you can say that these two findings, what are manual, which are automated, that will create a different impact and you will get a summary in that one slide rather than going through all the findings in the audit report. So try and use as many flowcharts, as many ways through which you can visually present that finding. These are few instances like a graph, a pie chart, like highlighting the department-wise instances rather than just mentioning the data point, showing it in the form of table, a bar graph, it helps. Similarly, doing a build versus unbuild analysis, and then further deep diving it into location-wise, preparing a pie chart. A visual appeal, and a reader will understand what is being talked about rather than mentioning it in the text format. Another way of representing this we discussed. Yeah. Now moving on to the categorizing and observation. So think like we are the teachers and auditees are the students and the MDs are the parents. Now, when we used to study, the teachers used to grade us. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult for the parents to understand whether my child is performing good or bad, where he needs improvement. So rating criterias are very critical so that you can bucket the observations accordingly and you draw the attention of the management accordingly. Like Anil mentioned, high observation will demand different attention, similarly with medium and low. So it is important to have the categorization of the observation and also the categorization of the overall report and the functions as well. And now, since categorization is important, we need to have some scientific way of deriving these ratings. For example, during our school days, if the teacher would not have given us the right rating, the students the right rating, the parents would have come running to teachers saying that ye rating acha nahi hai, ye galat hai. The students would have, there would have been many discussions between student teachers. Madam, mujhe ye kyun mila? I should have received this much. These are the marks which I should have got, or this A or B grade. So it has to be very, very scientifically derived categorization for high, medium, or low. So for example, if you see in the next slide, there are various ways in which we can categorize. For example, you can have a financial loss as one of the criteria. These numbers may change. It could be 10 lakhs, 20, 50, 1 crore based on the organization to organization. It will vary. Errors in financial statements. See, there could be a scenario where there are errors of 10 lakhs. Now that 10 lakhs may be important from an organization where the turnover is 1 crore. But it may not be important for an organization where the turnover is 1,000 crores. Right? So accordingly, that can be one of the criteria in deciding low, medium, or high. Compliances, legal or compliance issues. In case there are any fine involved or imprisonment involved, accordingly, you can categorize the observation as high, medium, low. Transactional errors, again, will depend on the transactions which you have verified, the sampling which you have done, what percentage out of the sampling which you have done, there are deviations. Similarly, a brand or a reputation impact. In case there are impact with respect to which will damage the brand image of the company. For example, the ad which was published in the newspaper by the client, that ad had certain errors or there were certain misstatements. This will impact the public image of the company and it may be a top priority because it will impact the reputation of the organization. In case there are any major safety incidents, again, top critical. Are there any policy compliance issues? If the policy is not in place at all, then it can be high. And you have found multiple issues around that. Similarly, with respect to IT controls, based on severity, you can accordingly classify. In case there are any fraud which has been identified, then irrespective of value, it should be high. And normally, in case there is a repeat observation, we always follow +1 approach. If earlier it was medium, then it moves to high. These are various templates which can be used for presentations. For example, in this, if you see, each area wise, we have categorized the observation as high, medium, low. So as a snapshot, you see that statutory compliance 1 high, which needs attention, and the grading also is improvement required. For others, it is medium controls. And similarly, an MD may want to know what was the situation when the audit was done last. So there is a comparison arrow. Like inventory, there has been an improvement with respect to last time. So last time there may be high to high observation. This time it is only 1 medium, so you see an improvement. In case of compliance, there is a deterioration. And in terms of procurement, there has been no improvement. So these kind of yardsticks help the management in understanding how the particular function is performing. Similarly, if you see, there are two important columns here. One is on the recommendations. At times when we do audit, there may not be any gaps, but there are recommendations or best practices which we are suggesting them. So those we should endeavor to try and identify these kind of recommendation and put that in the report so that they appreciate the extra mileage, the extra efforts which we have made in identifying those recommendations. And there could be certain cases where it is only the information which we want to give to the management where there is a potential risk in the future. Yeah. Again, a way of presenting the findings quarter on quarter, where you see there has been reduction in the findings. If the scope is similar, you can use this kind of graph to present. This again is one of a way of presenting where you are stating, for example, the material codes in ERP, the inactive. So if there is a reduction in percentage, you can always mention that with an arrow, which gives a different perspective to the reader, yes. Or in case there is an increase, you can project it accordingly. So finally, the key takeaways: well-drafted report helps the management in decision-making. See, the management will appreciate an auditor who helps in implementing. So if the report doesn't help him in decision-making, the findings are not going to be implemented and you will not be able to meet the purpose of your assignment. It has to be accurate, clear, concise, constructive, as Anil rightly covered in his presentation. Always discuss, have periodic status update, release flash reports, share the report with the right recipients. At times, what we do is, suppose there is a finding on the IT along with the functional findings. It is important we identify the right owner of the finding and share the findings with them so that it gets implemented. Never take shortcuts. ये process owner easy है तो इससे agree करके let us put that in the report. When it comes to implementation, you will face challenges and you will be back to square one. You have to again go to that recipient. So always identify the right owner at the beginning, have discussions with him. You will have the right implementation. And just finally to conclude, don't delay. As you know that the newspaper which comes at 7 a.m., the rate would be ₹8. But at the same newspaper at 7 p.m., maybe 12 rupees per kg. So ensure that reports are delivered on a timely manner. Don't delay the report, otherwise your entire efforts will go waste. Yeah, this was from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Vineet ji. Some questions.
Yeah.
Generally, what has been experienced is that the lengths of the reports are becoming larger and larger. How do you ensure that the lengths are concise and the attention span which is there, it meets both the requirement? Because if it is a 50-page report, 60-page report, the patience level is not there today. So how do you work to get that right balance?
That's why the executive summary plays a key role. So if it's a 50-pager report, you need to categorize the findings. You need to give a snapshot to the management in 2 slides, saying that what you are trying to say, club the themes, say that what are the emerging themes which is coming out of this detailed slides, and present that. Rather than presenting those 50 pages, no one would have time to go through those 50 pages.
We spoke about pictures and other things, but can you share some more examples on the innovations which you have observed practically in the internal audit report? Some new innovations or modern day trends which are seen in internal audit reports. If you can elaborate something on that.
So few things is, see, now the need of the hour is AI. The data analytics which we use. So data analytics and AI is playing a bigger role. So now in our report, we have started mentioning where all we have used AI while doing this audit, where all we have used performed data analytics. Now this gives a different context to the management that the 100% of the populations are getting checked for these controls. We have started using in our report the subject matter experts which we have used during the audits. For example, if we are doing an insurance review, we also mention the expertise of the auditor who has done the audit, so that, and the relevant expertise, so that the management understands what has gone behind during the execution phase. Because at times we use those skill sets. Like for example, when we are doing a GST audit, normal control checks, reconciliation, everything gets performed. But when we use for a 2-day, a person with 25 years of experience only in GST, he brings a different perspective. So if you start mentioning that in the report itself, saying that these are the subject matter experts who have been used during the audit, you will see a change from the audience perspective.
Prashant,
Yes.
just in this particular query, if I add, I have also seen some of the recent thing which I think if I'll share.
Yes.
So basically, nowadays, the format which Vineet and Anilji suggested, complete observation, root cause analysis, and everything, that is the core report which is being prepared and circulated to everyone. But when we come to the management, when we are presenting it to the management or to the audit committee or to the board, there are recent approaches which many firms have adopted is they prepare a complete separate set of report, very much different from the traditional things, and they just with few pictorial presentation or very few simple words give the observation. The flow is there in that PPT. This happened, this happened, this happened, through a pictorial mode. Root cause analysis dealt with a very deep method. So those are purely actionable reports. This is the issue, do this, resolved. And that's it, nothing else. And that is something which management nowadays is liking very much. So a detailed report which we do prepare should be there. But to the management, when we are presenting a different kind of report, having some sort of only required information at that level. That is something a new trend which I have came across.
Deepak, in our audit process also, we don't keep the reports same for at all level. First level is process on a level where we give the detailed audit report with each exhibit and detailed explanations.
True, sir.
And after that, this report is refined and it goes to the HOD with management comment, initial management comment which we have received from the process owner.
Very true.
These 2 reports will be at detail level, which includes all the exhibits, all detailed explanation and everything. But after that, the same report will not go to the BU head or management committee. There is suppose there is 100 observations are there. Hardly from 100 we make it 20 or 25 observation will go to the board of BU head or management committee. And after that, only the strategic issue which required a management attention or board attention, that will go to the audit committee, or there will be hardly at the most 7 or 8 observation which require attention from the management committee. So in our case also, we are using a different report. Otherwise, it will be difficult for the management committee or audit committee to take the decision.
So to extend that, if you are taking that 7 points only to the audit committee, so what I'm trying to say is that we are not just cutting those from that report and showing only those 7 points, but the method of presentation is something different, is what I'm trying to
No,
say.
there is one along that report. There is some executive summary where we present the total observation, these many highlighted. These are under the category of high risk, these are the low risk, or these are the medium risk.
Correct.
And how many observations were settled in the audit process itself, it is also mentioned. So
Correct.
it gives the overall picture to the audit committee. In addition to that, where we require the any special guidelines from the audit committee, we give those observation in our audit report. So that is the way we are following.
Yes.
So that is, as you rightly said, no, it's an art and science as well. So there is the artistic value also, which has to be there when you do the internal audit report. Uh, one other point, which is also a lot of point of deliberation, is that there is an inherent risk in audit. And how do we as auditors ensure that there are adequate disclaimers, what sort of limitations to scope should be framed uh, in a way that that the audit risk is also from an audit perspective or a firm perspective mitigated from an internal auditor also. So I think if you all can throw some light with various people across people who will be drafting internal audit reports, what are the best practices which people should follow?
See, one is the scope needs to be clearly defined. That is the key slide where you are defining your coverage, what you are covering. We have started mentioning the sampling methodology which we have used. It is very important to define that and also state in the report. Third is have your working papers handy. There are tools which are available where you can upload your working papers, share those in these, upload that and have that as a documentation. So whenever that audit is being looked into, you can extract those relevant documents. So I think these things are very important. Though we may have disclaimer slides, that those things are critical, but it is very important to put our house in order and be prepared in case there are any requirements in future. We would be able to show those details.
In addition, we need to be mentioned in our audit charter also. There should be scope in the audit charter ki what is our limitations, and in case something go wrong, so what is the remedy? And we should also explore some insurance solution also for the internal audit indemnity insurance or some kind of things we supposed to be see that. But for that, definitely we need to be see ki we incorporate all the any condition or limitation in our audit charter.
Sure, thank you. One thing which is another area where there is always a gap between what are the observations which are there. Sometimes process owners do not agree with what is being written, and there are those gaps. How do you all typically address those issues in the reports when there are written responses which are not in line with the observation, and there are contradictory responses? This is also a common problem which is sometimes faced.
So, see, and means you will have these kind of issues multiple times, definitely, because any observations will require a lot of deliberations with the process owners. And at times you have made all the attempts. आपने पूरा समझा दिया, you have done root causing, you have explained him, but he is not in a mood to listen. But you can't do spoon feeding. So what approach we follow is that we have, after his response, we say that auditor's comments, and we write down what is our view against his comments, so that a reader of the report, he understands his statement and our statement and is able to. So we agree to disagree in short.
The auditor's rejoinder.
Yes. So that is added as our arms and ammunition.
But as Vineet has mentioned initially, कि there should be iterative rounds between the auditor and the process owner. If that practice will be followed from the starting itself, there is a rare chances of conflict between the auditor and auditee. But I would like to mention it may be a little bit awkward, but the thing is कि internal auditor should be smarter than the auditee. If he has established in the auditing mind that this auditor is smarter than me and he knows about my function, definitely if he will give you the logical solution, he will accept. It is 99% cases, the auditor can convince to the auditee, but in case the auditee has already make up his mind that I not accept this observation, then the solution is that you take up that issue with their authority reporting authority. That is the way it is.
Anil, one question which I really wanted to ask you, that you being from industry, you would be receiving many reports from the outsource CA firms, and as a receiver of the report, how do you assess and how do you react? What are your feelings about that when you receive so many reports from so many different firms or so many different internal auditors? How do you look at and how do you benchmark in terms of quality, performance, and all those things?
I follow the same process as I am doing the audit in the field with the same auditor whosoever are auditing my site, or either internal auditor or statutory auditor. I always keep interacting with them, always ask them, and because sometimes there is a limitation from auditor also. Because there is this complex system and sometimes there could be a little bit understanding gap, and he put lot of efforts and after that he end up with a wrong observation. So it is better we always guide him, interact him, and come to the consensus ki what is the right solution for it. So I usually not face, because my habit is ki always whenever I am assigning work to anyone else, I keep them interacting, so that this problem I never faced usually.
Sure. Deepak, any other questions you want to take from the audience? We have crossed the 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I think just one announcement where everyone is asking about the materials. So they would be uploaded on the Chamber's website. And
I think there was one question about whether system walkthrough is to be done with evidence in the form of screenshots and to be accordingly reported, or screenshot should be shown separately to managerial person. So that was one question. But I think the answer is there, that screenshots are more of your own working paper. You don't need to show it to anybody.
Correct.
Unless and until it is a direct observation.
Yeah, very good.
Can be pasted on the page.
Perfect.
So that's
Yeah,
yes.
that is as an optional choice. You want to do it, you don't want to do it. But
Yeah.
anyways, they are part of your working paper.
Correct.
So I think we have answered most of the questions. Otherwise, we
Yes.
can go on. It's a interesting subject.
Correct.
But I think we can wind up. We are 10 minutes over the scheduled time.
Yes.
Yeah, Deepak.
Yeah. So I think we had a really interesting session covering many of the aspects of the report writing. And as we draw the curtains on this enlightening session, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished speaker, Mr. Anil Ajmera and Mr. Vineet Jajodia, for sharing their invaluable insights and expertise with us today. Your presentations have truly deepened our understanding of internal audit report writing and its crucial role in governance and compliance. Special thanks to our moderator, Prashant Bhai, for steering the session seamlessly and ensuring that the discussion was productive and interactive. To all the participants, thank you for being a patient listener, for your enthusiasm, engagement, and thoughtful queries which you have placed in the boxes. Lastly, I express my gratitude to Chamber of Tax Consultant for organizing this event, providing a platform for learning and collaboration. Thank you once again, and I'd really like everyone to give a virtual vote of thanks to everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.